Hi everyone, I'm Teacher Luke, an expert Duolingo English Test teacher, and today we're going to talk about the dictation question type, the one where you have to write down exactly what you hear. So this question type is pretty hard because it tests your listening, your writing, your comprehension, and also your memory skills. So it's important that you're able to do this well. So in this video, we're going to go over some of the main points of this question type. Then I'm going to show you some useful tips to help you get the best score. And lastly, I've prepared 15 sample tests for you. These sample tests will help you to practice and give you a good indication of the areas you need to improve. But before we start, if you think this video is going to be helpful for you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It really does help me a lot. Well, let's get started by looking at some of the main points of this question type. So the first key point you need to know is that you only have 1 minute to complete this task. In my opinion, 1 minute is just about enough time to complete this task. You also should know that you will only get one sentence to dictate. So you don't have to worry about listening to multiple sentences. Every single time you get this task, you will only have to dictate one sentence. And you will get this question type between 3 and 7 times during the test. Almost all of the question types you get between 3 and 7 times during the test. I've taken the Duolingo English Test 2 times, and each time I had this question type 5 times in the test. But on the Duolingo English Test website, it does say that you can get this question type anywhere from 3 to 7 times in the test. So just be prepared that you might have to do this a lot throughout the test. It's also good to know that you only have to dictate one sentence. However, in my experience, some of those sentences are quite long, and actually writing out everything that you hear in 1 minute can be a little bit tricky. So I recommend that you practice typing things out quickly before you take this test. Another thing you should be aware of is that the speakers on the test do speak at a very natural speed, which is quite quick. So it can be difficult to hear every single word that the speaker uses. But you have to be ready for that, and you have to write out exactly what you hear. So now let me show you some really useful tips to help you to get the best score. Okay, tip number 1 is really important, and it is that you must write exactly what you hear. This question type does not want you to make new words or show your creativity in English. Instead, you just have to write down exactly what you hear. My second tip is that you should always listen to the sentence 3 times. When you're taking the Duolingo English test, the question looks like this. And as you can see on the bottom, it says number of replays left. This means that you can re-listen to the sentence 2 times. So in total, you get to listen to it 3 times. I strongly recommend that you do listen 3 times, even if you are confident. Because like I said earlier, the speakers do speak quite quickly and you can easily miss things. So just take your time and make sure you listen to it 3 times. And my third tip is important, and that is that you must use correct punctuation. Things like capital letters, periods, and commas. So the most important thing on this test is that you write out every word exactly as you hear it, but punctuation is also really important. If you want to get the top score, then you must use correct punctuation. Like I mentioned, capital letters, periods, and commas. The sentences you hear will all be statements. They won't be questions, so you don't have to think about a question mark. Just always remember, start off your sentence with a capital letter and finish with a period, and sometimes if the grammar needs it, then you should include a comma. Let me now show you an example answer without punctuation, and then I'll show you where the punctuation should be included. Okay, so this example comes from the Duolingo practice test, and the sentence is spoken like this. Even without seeing you, I would have recognized you. So here, I wrote out the sentence exactly the way I heard it, but I didn't include any punctuation, so I can't get a very good score here. So what punctuation is necessary here? So there are 3 things you need to focus on. The first and most important one is to use a capital letter at the start of a sentence. And secondly, you must always include a period at the end of a sentence. Now, I know this is very basic, but you'd be surprised how often I read students writing and they don't include the capital letter or period. You will lose points if you don't do this. And thirdly, this sentence structure needs a comma. The even grammar structures usually include a comma to separate the two clauses. If you need help studying punctuation, I made a writing video where I discuss the punctuation rules. You can find the link below in the description. So those were some really useful tips to help you to get a better score on this question type. Now it's time to do some sample tests. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I've prepared 15 different sample tests for you. They start off quite easy and then they get more difficult towards number 15. For each test, I'll give you 1 minute and I'll repeat the sentence 3 times, just like in the real test. I strongly recommend that you listen and type out what you hear. This will be great practice for you for when you take the real Duolingo English test. And of course, when you're writing it out, don't forget to use the correct punctuation. After each test, I'll show you the correct answer with the correct punctuation, so you can use that to check your progress and also study some useful grammar. Okay, well, let's get started on these 15 sample tests. Please let me know how well you do in the comments. Okay, good luck.
It is possible that he will come to the party. It is possible that he will come to the party. It is possible that he will come to the party.
Okay, before I move on to test number 2, just a quick reminder, if you think this video is helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Like I said, it really does help me a lot. Okay, here's test number 2.
It is important for me to wake up early in the mornings. It is important for me to wake up early in the mornings. It is important for me to wake up early in the mornings. If you need help paying the bills, I will help you with that. If you need help paying the bills, I will help you with that. If you need help paying the bills, I will help you with that.
My brother eats 3 times as much as I do. My brother eats 3 times as much as I do. My brother eats 3 times as much as I do.
Okay, before we start test number 5, I just want to let you know that I do have a Facebook group. So if you have any questions about this test, please join that group, write your questions in the chat, and I'll help you out. Okay, test number 5.
I am going to the party even if it rains. I am going to the party even if it rains. I am going to the party even if it rains.
Even though he worked hard his whole life, he never made much money. Even though he worked hard his whole life, he never made much money. Even though he worked hard his whole life, he never made much money.
I would travel around the world if I won the lottery. I would travel around the world if I won the lottery. I would travel around the world if I won the lottery.
When people smoke cigarettes, their health suffers. When people smoke cigarettes, their health suffers. When people smoke cigarettes, their health suffers.
Recently, it has been harder for me to find work. Recently, it has been harder for me to find work. Recently, it has been harder for me to find work.
She has been working at that company for 3 years. She has been working at that company for 3 years. She has been working at that company for 3 years.
In spite of the pain in his leg, he completed the marathon. In spite of the pain in his leg, he completed the marathon. In spite of the pain in his leg, he completed the marathon.
She stayed with him even though he often mistreated her. She stayed with him even though he often mistreated her. She stayed with him even though he often mistreated her.
Although we saw each other every day, we didn't really know each other. Although we saw each other every day, we didn't really know each other. Although we saw each other every day, we didn't really know each other.
Finally, the results of this investigation were published in a scientific magazine. Finally, the results of this investigation were published in a scientific magazine. Finally, the results of this investigation were published in a scientific magazine.
I will have gone to the gym by the time you decide what you want to do. I will have gone to the gym by the time you decide what you want to do. I will have gone to the gym by the time you decide what you want to do.
And those were 15 sample tests. I hope this video was helpful for you. Please let me know what you think and how well you did below in the comments. Also, if you like this type of sample test video, please write yes in the comments and I'll make more. Okay, that's it from me today. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.